At exactly 19:30 Moscow time, on the evening of September 21st, 2025, an event was underway at one of Russia's most protected and exclusive locations, Vladimir Putin's luxurious guest house in Crimea. This was not a standard military installation, nor just another Black Sea resort. This was the Forty Sanatorium, a private retreat for Russia's top officials and elite commanders, a place where key figures in Moscow's war planning gathered behind closed doors. That night, as banquets were being served and strategic discussions whispered in corners, few inside could have imagined that in just 43 seconds, the tables in front of them would be reduced to rubble. The strike that unfolded was not random nor symbolic. It was part of a calculated Ukrainian operation aimed at striking at the very nerve center of Russia's war infrastructure in occupied Crimea. And the weapon chosen for this task was unlike anything Russia's air defense network was prepared to stop. Miles away from the coast, slicing silently across the Black Sea, a small vessel made its approach. Measuring just 16 feet long, it hardly looked like a major threat. Yet this craft carried with it the tools to change the entire balance of a front. This was the Magura V5, a Ukrainian unmanned surface vessel or drone boat. Built with a fiberglass hull, its profile was extremely difficult for radar to detect, allowing it to move almost invisibly through the waves like a predator. But the Magura itself was not the primary weapon. Hidden within its bay were 6 OSA FPV drones, each one a compact but lethal precision-guided munition. These drones, just 13 inches long, each carried a 1.5-pound shaped charge. Unlike conventional explosives, a shaped charge concentrates its detonation into a focused jet of molten metal. That jet travels at such velocity that it can punch clean through armor, steel plating, or reinforced concrete as if cutting through paper. This meant that even though the OSA drones were small, they had the capability to inflict catastrophic localized damage against hardened structures or vehicles. By targeting the Forty Sanatorium, Ukraine's objectives were twofold. The first was psychological and symbolic, to show that no Russian leader, commander, or intelligence planner was beyond reach. The second was strategic. Eliminating a location used by the FSB and other branches of Russia's security services for covert planning directly undermined Moscow's ability to coordinate operations across Crimea and the Black Sea. The strike was also tied to the ongoing effort to protect Ukraine's vital grain corridor, keeping export routes open by forcing Russia to divert its Black Sea assets away from choke points. At 1931 local time, just 3 miles from shore, the Magura slowed its engines. Its bay doors opened, and 6 OSA drones slipped silently into the waves. Each was guided initially by a laser lock from the mother vessel, but only for 10 seconds. After that, they were on their own. Within moments, the swarm accelerated to 60 miles per hour, skimming the water's surface so low they almost touched the spray. They did not move in a straight line. Instead, they executed a tactic developed by Ukraine's main intelligence directorate, a method known as the ghost chain. The first drone in the formation deployed chaff, 500 strips of aluminum cut to interfere with radar frequencies. On Russian screens, this cloud appeared not as one tiny drone, but as a massive moving signature, multiplying false targets across the radar display. Behind this wall of interference, the other 5 drones followed tightly, hugging the base of the cliffs along the Foros coastline. The terrain itself shielded them from Russian radar, and when they encountered a patrol boat, the drones popped above the horizon for less than 3 seconds, exposing themselves for no more than 12 feet of flight before vanishing again behind the cliffs. The operation was not without complications. A sudden 20-knot wind gust struck the formation, hitting drone number 3 hardest. That particular drone had a corroded antenna, and what had been a minor 2.3-degree targeting error now spiraled into a flight stability issue. Hundreds of miles away in a bunker beneath Odessa, the Ukrainian operator monitoring the drones felt his controls shudder as the system tried to compensate. His display flickered, and he fought to stabilize the craft. His concentration stretched to the limit. Meanwhile, on the cliffs above, Russian patrols continued their routines. One Spetsnaz operator scanning with a thermal scope picked up a heat signature moving rapidly across the water. Believing he had identified a target, he raised an electronic warfare rifle, a so-called drone gun, and fired. The decoy drone was hit instantly, its circuits fried, and it plunged into the sea in sparks. The operator radioed in a kill, unaware he had only destroyed bait. The real swarm remained undetected, slipping beneath the cliff line. But his call did not go unanswered. Within 30 seconds, a Panzer S-1 air defense battery near Yalta lit up. Its radar detected what it believed was a single large threat moving at speed. Following its automated threat evaluation, the system fired. A missile costing millions streaked skyward at Mach 3, homing in on the aluminum chaff. In Odessa, the Ukrainian operator smirked. The Russian system had just spent a fortune destroying nothing more than a cloud of foil. The Magura drone boat, still positioned offshore, now broadcast a new false signature mimicking a larger vessel. Russian patrol boats turned away from the real swarm to chase this phantom target, leaving the path to the Forty Sanatorium clear. At 1928 local time, air raid sirens wailed across Sevastopol. From an airfield nearby, a Su-30 fighter took off, afterburners blazing. Designed for speed and interception, the aircraft could outrun, outclimb, and outgun anything of comparable size. But these 6 OSA drones were not attempting to dogfight. They were relying on deception, agility, and terrain to survive. The swarm split into 2 groups. 2 drones dropped lower into the sea clutter, effectively disappearing against background noise. The other 3 climbed to 200 feet. The Russian pilots suddenly faced multiple targets at different altitudes. Engaging all of them would be impossible. Russia then turned to electronic warfare, unleashing a powerful jamming blanket across a 5-mile zone. The Ukrainian operators' screens filled with static as the drones lost their command links. But the OSA drones were designed for autonomy. Using internal gyroscopes and pre-programmed paths, they ignored the interference and flew on, unaffected. Physics, not radio waves, guided them forward. On the ground, Russian Spetsnaz units opened fire with thermal-guided machine guns and launched nets to intercept the drones. 1 was hit, bursting into fire against the cliffs. But 4 remained, and the operator in Odessa saw the countdown flash on his console. 20 seconds to target. Then Ukraine played another card. 1 drone altered its transponder to mimic the IFF code of a civilian airliner. On radar, it looked as though a passenger aircraft was on a collision course with a local school. Russian commanders faced a dilemma: engage and risk global outrage, or hold fire and risk the drones striking their actual target. That hesitation was enough. The surviving 4 drones emerged undetected from the cliffs with a direct line of sight to the Forty Sanatorium. At the same time, the Magura drone boat transmitted a final tight-beam laser pulse to drone number 3, correcting its navigation error. The swarm locked onto the heat signature of the banquet hall. At 1930 Moscow time, the attack reached its final stage. The Russian air defenses realized the deception too late. A Panzer battery opened up with 30mm cannons, firing thousands of rounds per minute into the night sky. Tracers lit the darkness, but the drones did not scatter. They converged. The operator in Odessa issued the command, Fox 3, release payload. The drones released their charges. 4 warheads, each one 0.5 pounds of shaped explosive, separated and dove at over 200 miles per hour toward the main hall. The drones themselves veered away, their mission complete. The impacts came in rapid succession. The first warhead struck the armored glass roof, punching through with concentrated force before detonating. The copper lining vaporized into a jet of molten metal at 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, penetrating the marble floors beneath. The second warhead tore through the kitchens, rupturing gas lines and triggering secondary explosions. A fireball consumed the western wing, blowing sections of the structure into the sea. The third destroyed the garage, igniting armored vehicles into towering pillars of fire. The fourth struck the main event hall directly, obliterating the meeting table and the documents laid upon it. The blasts generated an electromagnetic pulse that disabled local radar, temporarily blinding the Crimean coast. By dawn, the Forty Sanatorium, a $50 million retreat for Russia's elite, was reduced to ruins. Russia's immediate war planning in Crimea was disrupted. More importantly, its Black Sea fleet was forced to reposition, expanding Ukraine's safe corridor for grain exports by nearly 20%. In Odessa, the Ukrainian operator who had guided the mission watched satellite footage of the destruction. A faint smile crossed his face. The operation had proven a timeless principle. Even the largest fortress can be brought down by precise, carefully aimed strikes. And even a small drone can shift the balance of war when used with ingenuity. Ukraine's ghost chain strategy had turned the sea itself into a weapon. And in doing so, it revealed that Russia's empire in Crimea was less a fortress than a sandcastle, waiting for the tide.